شادي قباطي من اليمن، رئيس الرابطة العربية لاتحادات الطلاب العرب.
Sabah al-Khair. I'm deeply honored to be with you this morning. Technology is a means to generate sustainable income for the region through tax collection. A critical issue many countries in our region face is that a proper system of taxation is not implemented, which detrimentally affects the levels of collected individual, payroll, and corporate income taxes. The salary workers receive in their bank accounts and the profits businesses generate should already be tax deductible to avoid loopholes associated with self-reporting. A program as such, supported by robust electronic systems and databases, will provide a vital source of income for a country's annual budget, which can then be used to develop its infrastructure, healthcare, education, and social welfare. Moving towards this system will encourage all individuals and businesses to open bank accounts in order to receive their wages and revenue, which promotes a culture of financial responsibility and accountability. There are also many positive social, economic, and political externalities associated with this scheme, including more transparency, reduced levels of rampant corruption, and a true move towards meritocracy. In addition, this will serve as a final nail in the coffin for the creation of imaginary jobs and will be a source of sustainable income for the region. Even though relatively less export-oriented economies will benefit the most from the implementation of this scheme, it serves as a model that's applicable to all the countries in our beloved region. Thank you.
شكرا شادي.
إلى شادي قباطي رئيس جمعية الطلاب العرب في جامعة ييل الأمريكية، طبعا الناشط اليمني وابن الطبقة السياسية والعمل السياسي في اليمن اللي كمان أموره لا تقل تعقيدا، لكن إلى حد ما ربما في اليمن اليوم في وضوح لطرفي الصراع، ربما أكثر من الدول اللي تحدثنا عنها، يعني أكثر من ما في بسوريا، أكثر من ما بليبيا، في وضوح. ولكن هل أصبح الأمر أكثر وضوحا بالنسبة للخروج من النفق كله؟
شكرا جزيلا ست نجوى. اسمحي لي بس الأول I'd like to really thank the Beirut Institute for having me here with them. I'm greatly honored. I'd like to specifically thank Ms. راغدة درغم.
شادي سيتحدث بالإنجليزية لأنه مريحة أكثر لو.
أي نعم، ممكن نتحدث باللغة العربية بس بالسياسة والاقتصاد باللغة الإنجليزية. I'd like to really thank Ms. راغدة درغم and His Royal Highness Prince Turki Al Faisal for their very kind invitation. for me to come and attend the Beirut Institute. I'm also very honored to be here with this distinguished set of panelists and world leaders and thinkers, and it's a privilege to be here. It's not every day that you get the platform to be on the stage with global leaders. As for the question on Yemen, it's very unfortunate that we're currently entering the 4th year of this crisis without having any major breakthroughs. We're seeing the United Nations and the Security Council sort of always issuing further statements about what's happening in the country. Of course, we have UN resolutions being passed, such as 2216, which falls under Chapter 7 of the United Nations Charter, but nothing is actually being implemented on the ground. And we have now the 3rd UN envoy, Griffiths, and we hope that he'll be able to take this forward after Jamal bin Umar and Wald al-Sheikh Ahmed couldn't find any solution to this major problem. Of course, you have the question of the Houthis being centralized in Sana'a. We have the GCSE coalition under Saudi Arabia mentioning that we cannot take over Sana'a because of the collateral damage which will happen as a result of civilians dying in the process. So it seems to be a bit of a political stalemate as far as the situation is in Yemen. But it will have to be a political agreement eventually, and the Houthis will have to come to the negotiating table. I know it took some time. They were in Kuwait, before that they were in Yale, and they used these as opportunities to regroup on the ground and ignore any forms of dialogue. But the process will have to be sort of some form of political conciliation. And I know Minister Byrd has been meeting with President Hadi over the past couple of months to try to reach a certain agreement. As for the future, the war will eventually end in Yemen. The question is, when will this happen? But after the war ends, Yemen will have to face many economic challenges, and that has to do with economic development and sort of rebuilding the infrastructure, of course, after the huge damage which happened in Yemen. And this raises many questions on how this process will be able to happen. So in terms of rebuilding...
Let the crisis end first.
Pardon?
Let the crisis end first.
Yes, let the crisis end first, and of course, but we have to have an optimistic view on what we want to do with the country after the situation happens, and we need to have a roadmap so that once the crisis ends, which will eventually happen, how do you move forward? And the question over development is very important, and it brings a lot of similarities to what we've seen after the Second World War with, of course, the Truman Doctrine and the Marshall Plan, which aided Eastern Europe and Greece and Turkey, and we'll have similar initiatives falling in Yemen and in the region as well, probably in Syria, maybe through a Salman plan or Al-Zayed plan, to try and build up the country again. And I just want to refer back to what The Economist mentioned around 2 years ago, where they mentioned that after the war ends in Yemen, Yemen should be having the highest GDP growth in the whole world. And that keeps us youth very optimistic.
We hope so, but let's go step by step, because the reconstruction is something we're looking forward right now, unfortunately. شادي قباطي كمان بإجابتك تحدثت أن المبعوثين الأمميين لم يستطيعوا فعل شيء. كمان وكأنهم كان عندهم عصا سحرية ولم يستعملوها في الوقت اللي في أزمة داخلية وفي أزمة كما تفضلتم، يعني كل الضيف حسب بلده، في أزمة تتعلق بالمصالح الإقليمية التي تقود هذه المشاريع في الداخل. باليمن في عنا الموضوع الإيراني اللي يريد أن يدخل إلى الخليج. بالتالي المبعوث الدولي أو المجتمع الدولي أين هي مهمته في هذا الموضوع، وأين يعني هو يحمل أكثر مما يحتمل؟
It's a great question. The international community, unfortunately, has not been doing as much for the country, and Iranian presence in Yemen and their huge support for the Houthis has been very disgraceful in Yemen and in the region as well, as they have a very far-fetched dream that they'd be able to control this region. They seem not to learn from the lessons of history that you would not be able to dominate this region. As far as what the world could do to sort of help the country and what the United Nations could do would be sort of pushing it towards some political dialogue, but they have many tools which they could be using, which they've been sort of delayed the usage of it previously with Ali Abdullah Saleh and now with the Houthis. And It's unacceptable that you have an illegitimate government based with the Houthis in Sana'a forming their government and carrying on their day-to-day affairs. And in the country, we're facing a miserable humanitarian crisis and a lot of issues which aren't getting as much media coverage. We have the cholera crisis, which is affecting 17 million people. And I'd also like to highlight a few issues which people do not speak more about and which will be huge challenges for the future. The two questions of the brains which I consider it's the first one being that there is huge generations in Yemen who are currently not getting access to education, and on the other hand, you have, so with this sort of question of brain drain, the people who are able to sort of leave the country and have the resources to do so are leaving sort of to get their education abroad. So the question is, how will you then have a future in the country for people to come back and rebuild and rebuild the country? And in tandem with that, you have the whole question of brainwashing, which will be a huge issue moving forward for Yemen. Yemen is one of the most populous countries in the region, and after sort of the war ends, if you do not have the youth, the Yemeni youth rebuilding their own country, especially with such high levels of unemployment, it will be a breeding ground for extremist activities, and they'd be able to sort of use that platform to push the country towards a sort of further dire situation. So sort of coming back in that circle, Iran has to learn from its lesson and further support. They're betting on the wrong horse with the Houthis.
باقي من الوقت أقل من 10 دقائق، يعني أريد أن أقول يعني أعطي دقيقة ونصف لكل ضيف لكي يلخص ما يريد أن يقوله في هذا الموضوع كختام، وأبدأ مع السيد بيرت لو سمحت.
Firstly, I'd echo things that both Robert and Nabil have said. I don't point to institutional failure of the UN. It's the fact that the structures that were set up required states to do things and to act occasionally not wholly in their own interest in order to bring about a better result for others. The failure to do that has led to the failure of those bodies to deliver better in the current circumstances. Because it's individual states who veto things, not the system itself. But unless we can find a way through that, we're going to be left with insoluble crises. And the current situation in Syria and Yemen, to a degree, do demonstrate that if we can't restore the success of these international institutions, this is what we're going to be left with. And we're giving, what the UK is now doing is giving every support to the diplomatic processes in Yemen through humanitarian work. We're doing a lot to counter the things that Shady was speaking about in Iraq, the reconstitution, reconstruction. That's the role to play. But finally, just to agree both with His Royal Highness Prince Turki yesterday and with Nabil, the seeds both of conflict and of the alleviation of conflict lie within the region itself. There are causes of conflict that are here, not connected with the outside world, but equally the resilience and the confidence to deal with them increasingly needs to come from here as well. And that should be part of the message of this conference.
Thank you, Mr. Burt. مع الوزير فهمي تفضل.
شكرا. يعني بالنسبة لي أعتقد أنه الرسالة العربية الإقليمية يجب تؤكد على حماية دولة المواطنة الحاضنة، بمعنى لن نقبل بتغيير هوية الدولة من دولة عربية، دولة مصرية، دولة عراقية، دولة يمنية، أيا كانت، وهي دولة حاضنة لكل فئات مجتمع الدولة ذاتها. الشيء الآخر يعني أختلف بسيطا مع أخي العزيز أليستر. نحن نتحمل كثير من أخطاء أو أسباب المشاكل الحالية، إنما لم نبادر في خلقها. هذه لها جذور تاريخية. مع هذا بالنسبة للمستقبل علينا أن نبادر بطرح يا إما موقف عربي جماعي لحلها، أو إن لم يكن هذا متاحا كخطوة أولى بين ما يسمى أو ما كان يسمى في محافل أخرى لايك مايند، دول عربية رئيسية تطرح أفكار حول حل قضايا معينة، ولعل نجمع حولها توافق تدريجيا. الشيء الآخر، علينا توجيه رسالة واضحة للدول الإقليمية غير العربية، سعينا لعلاقة طيبة وحدود العلاقة ومتطلباتها. وأخيرا رسالة المجتمع الدولي. المجتمع الدولي يتحمل مسؤولية فيما نشهده، أن نستطيع حل القضايا دون تعاونهم، ولا يستطيع حلها دون وجودنا. الحديث في الجلسة السابقة تماما يعني لاحظت أنه بكل صراحة كده الروس والأمريكان بيتكلموا على مصالحهم لا علاقة لها بالحق العربي أو المصلحة العربية، لأن دي ساحة مفتوحة وكل واحد يقرر إيه اللي هو فيه. ففي النهاية مرة تانية المبادرة والعربي لصالح العرب مسؤوليتنا، والتعاون مع الغير واجب.
اسمح لي عم بستعجلك، آسفة. كمان معي الوزير الديري، الخلاصة لحضرتك دقيقة ونصف.
حتى لا أكون متشائما، أود أن أطرح طموحات الليبيين حاليا. هناك توافق على ضرورة الذهاب إلى الانتخابات كأحد الخطوات الأساسية لحل المعضلة السياسية. هناك أيضا طموح في إيجاد عاصمة هادئة بعيدا عن الميليشيات التي تسيطر عليها للأسف، ومن ثم فإن هناك جهد يعني عطفا على الدور العربي، هناك جهد مصري نثمنه عاليا، وهو جهد تم أيضا التأكيد عليه من قبل الولايات المتحدة وفرنسا مؤخرا، الجهد المتعلق بتوحيد المؤسسة العسكرية، لأنه بدون حل المشكلة الأمنية وبالذات في العاصمة طرابلس لا يمكن مهما كانت العصا السحرية التي يأتي بها أي كان لإيجاد حل سياسي في وجود هذه الميليشيات. أود أن أقول بأن هناك كلام كثير عن وجود نهاية لوحدة ليبيا، عن وجود انفصال. الحقيقة أود أن أقول أن هناك توافقا في المجتمع الإقليمي والعربي والدولي على عدم وجود الحيلولة دون وجود هذا الانفصال، لكن هناك طموح ورغبة جامحة من العديد من الليبيين سواء في الشرق الليبي أو عند بعض الأقليات لإيجاد حكومة غير مركزية لا يمكن أن تسيطر على كل مقادير هذه الدولة ومصادرها. فأعتقد أننا نثمن هذا الدور العربي الأخير الذي نشأ، ونتمنى البذل المزيد.
أنا آسفة عم استعجلكم بالوقت، بس نحن جدا وقتنا ضيق. تفضل دكتور خالد.
طبعا يعني هو ليس تجلد الذات وإنما هي الواقعية. يعني علينا نعترف بفشل، يعني فشلنا كدول عربية باحتواء أزماتنا وعدم نحمل المجتمع الدولي بمشاكلنا. هاي من ناحية. الناحية الثانية هناك يعني نقطة أساسية أعتقد إن لم يتم القضاء على الإرهاب في هذه المنطقة، وخاصة كما قال السيد بطريوس أمس، لا تقاتل الإرهاب فقط بمحاولة الإرهاب، وإنما من هو يغذي الإرهاب ويمول الإرهاب ويدعم هذا الإرهاب. الشيء اللي أنا يعني اللي بيجعلني متفائل نوعا ما أن هناك طموح لدى الشباب العربي يتجاوز الحدود العالم العربي. واعتقد يعني الانظمه الدكتاتوريه التي مارست يعني هذا النظام على شعوبها لمده يعني 40 عام من العراق الى سوريا الى اليمن، استطاعت يعني هالشعوب ان تنهض، واعتقد هذه الشعوب لها طموحات تتجاوز يعني حكامها، ونتمنى يعني من يعني حكام العرب ان يتماشوا قليلا مع متطلبات شعوبهم.
ساعدني دكتور خالد بالوقت. شادي قباطي تفضل.
شكرا. I'd just like to end with this note. Despite all the negativity and discussions we've been having in this panel and throughout the Beirut Institute over the past 2 days, and the severe challenges in the region and in Yemen specifically, the outcome should be positive, and we remain optimistic as youth that eventually Yemen will be able to thrive. Iran should sort of stop meddling in the region so that we could build the region and the country which we've been dreaming about. I'd like to end with the quote of Mark Twain, who said, "Even though history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes." And now we're sort of currently seeing a lot of rhyming going on in the region, and I hope many of many people in the region, especially Iran, would be able to learn a lesson from history. And this is the same message which we've been reiterating in Yale's first Arab conference 2 weeks ago, one of positivity, amalna. We want to sort of pave the road ahead. In terms of Yemen, just very quickly, we hope that after the conflict finishes, we'd be able to implement the goals of the National Dialogue Conference, ratify the constitution, have elections, build our country, and be able to live a happy, prosperous, and thriving life. Thank you so much.
The last minute is with you, Mr. Deneen.
Thank you very much. If I may just try to clarify maybe a few things about my own country, since I know that there's so much confusion always about the United States. And I think that that confusion is natural because in reality, I know it's very frustrating for you in the region. Every 4 or 8 years, a new administration comes in and you have to try to explain the region and deal with a whole new set of actors and players. And one of the things you're always trying to understand is, you know, what do you Americans want? What is it, your great plan? And I think one of the real secrets is that most of the time, we don't know. Most of the time, we are reacting. We are not proactive. And I think, especially at this point in time, what we are looking for, more often than not, are opportunities and partners and situations to work with. And I think we are particularly at a moment that the more that you are doing in the region, the more we will work with you. The less we see opportunity, the more you will see a drift away. So I think the days of looking to the United States to solve problems is over, but that doesn't mean we're leaving either. I think we seek to be a partner, but I think really the initiative lies with you.
Thank you so much. أعرف السيد بيرت كان طلب أن يتكلم ويوجه كلامه لشادي قباطي لكن للأسف لم يعد هناك. There's no more time at all. I'm asked to finish now. Thank you so much, Mr. Alistair Burt. شكرا جزيلا مع الوزير نبيل فهمي، شكرا جزيلا مع الوزير محمد ديري، شكرا جزيلا مع الدكتور خالد محميد، إن شاء الله بنلحق مع الوزير. شكرا جزيلا شادي قباطي، وشكرا جزيلا السيد روبرت دينين. شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you, Excellencies and Sirs. Thank you, Najwa.